Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Annie Douglas, your Chief Mom Ambassador here at Moms Meet. And I'm so excited that you all could join us for this very special webinar with Unreal. During this session, you'll hear directly from the founders of Unreal Candy, Michael and Nicky Bronner, on why and how they started this amazing company. One thing that really stands out about this company is their mission, which is so much bigger and better than just selling candy. It's truly about proving that the common junk food that we all indulge in can be made without all the junk. So I'm personally very excited to hand things over now to Michael and Nicky so they can share a bit more about their mission. And once they're done with their presentation, you'll get a chance to ask them your questions. So be sure to type any of your questions into the chat window, and we'll get to as many of them as possible. So with that said, Michael and Nicky, please take it away.
Thank you, Annie. I'm Nicky Bronner. Started this company with my dad, and just like to say thank you so much for being here. And this is just so much more important than candy. I'm really excited about what we can do. So I'm also the kid on the right of the screen. To the left is our chef, not my dad. So I started this, well, basically what happened is 3 years ago, I came home from Halloween with my huge bag of candy, and I woke up the next morning and half of it was gone. I got into this big argument with my dad. Why do you always take away my candy? He said, come on, Nicky, you know it's bad for you. So I said, I'm gonna go prove my dad wrong. So I go and I look up my favorite candy, peanut butter cups. I say, how bad for me can these possibly be? Peanut butter and chocolate. And I look them up, and I'm just shocked with all these ingredients that I see. It's not just peanut butter and chocolate, and there's mounds of sugar. So I say, all right, another one, a peanut caramel nougat bar. And I'm shocked again. I mean, there's corn syrup, all this junk in there. So I go back to my dad with kind of the sad look on my face, because I think it was probably the first and the only time I've had to admit that he was actually right in my whole life. But anyhow, I said, Dad, why does it have to be like this? Why do they make it like this? So I did some more research, and I found out, it wasn't for the taste. It was so they can make it easier, they can make it cheaper, it could last longer. So I said, Dad, can't we do this right? I want to have my candy, and I think we should all have our candy. So I talked to my brother, who still is very interested in like progressive cooking. So he said, hey, Chris, if you think there's anybody who could revolutionize candy in the country, who would you say it is? So we got the names of all of these famous chefs with their own TV shows. And we fly out across the country, and we had lots of great meals, but unfortunately none of the chefs could do it. Either it was too hard or they were just so busy. So we said, all right, Chris, we need you to knock it out of the park this time. So he gives us this man in the UK, a guy at Bristol University, Peter Barham, who's one of the most famous food scientists. And I call him, and I talk to him about what I'm trying to do. He says, I've got this guy over in Spain. His name is Adam Malonis. He's the guy to the left. And so we call him up, and we tell him, like, we're trying to revolutionize candy. We're trying to make it, good, like, real stuff. So he's like, I love it. He flies over from Spain. 3 days later, we're sitting here in Boston around the table, and that's really where it started. So 2 years and 3 years and 1,000 recipes later, we've gotten to where we are now. And I'll pass it on to my dad now.
Thanks, Nicky. I want to also say thank you for making the time to be with us today, and also to support this very important mission. Before I jump in, I do just want to say that Nicky is a why kid. Everything is why. Why does it have to be this way? Why can't it be different? I'm sure that many of you, if not all of you, can relate. I think it's one of the most wonderful experiences that we have with kids is their curiosity, and we have to, as parents, really support that. And I watched very closely early on as he and his brother went off on this on their own. And the call that he talked about, which is really the seminal call with this gentleman, Peter Barham, in the UK, what I remember so clearly and you know, this could only happen to a kid, is that when he Googled his phone number, and of course Mr. Barham answered the phone. It would take me, you know, 10 weeks to finally track him down, but on his first call we got him, and what he said was, Mr. Barham, you know, my generation is the first generation in history that's not going to live as long as our parents. And by the time I'm 24, at the time he'd said this, 1 in 2 of my friends are going to be either diabetic or pre-diabetic and obese. And that nearly half of youth calories today comes from junk food. And Nicky's premise was, it doesn't have to be this way. I really believe that we could make the food that we eat so much of today and drink so much of, you know, all of the whole category of junk food, without junk and with a ton less sugar. And I think he inspired Peter to say, I want to help and be a part of this, just the way he inspired Adam Malonis. And I'm really proud of Nicky and having a dream and just having the passion to pursue it. But what we really did was to set out on a mission. And the mission is an insane one. You're looking at it now, which is to unjunk the world. And this is the only reason that this company was started, was to prove that food doesn't have to be the way it is. And we're not naive enough in starting this to say that we can unjunk the world. All we're saying is that we want to inspire change, and we want to prove this, and then get other people like yourselves, and to get companies and of course, very importantly, the retailers to realize that what we're used to doesn't have to be this way. So we started with candy, and this is just the beginning of the junk food reinvention, because one, of the fate of the Halloween, day after Halloween fight, but secondly, because if we could take one of the most egregious of the junk foods and prove that you could make them taste as good, not by dint of some adults sitting around or food scientists at a company, but literally by a kid who brought in lots of other kids who went through this tasting along the way. And they say it tastes as good, but you've gotten the junk out. So you've taken 100% of the artificial ingredients, like artificial colors, artificial flavors, artificial preservatives, hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated and fractionated oils, corn syrup, any kind of preservatives, even GMOs, so that we know that the foods are not genetically modified, and then have a lot less sugar. We all know the dangers of sugar. We also know that our kids and others are not going to stop eating sweets and snacks, but does it really have to be so much? So we started there, but as we started moving through this, Nicky was actually the one who said, well, maybe it's not enough just to get the junk out. Maybe we also have to make sure that we don't do any harm to the planet. So we realized that where the key ingredients came from mattered. So the cacao, we realized, had to come from traceable beans. Ours come out of Ghana and Ecuador, so we know exactly where they're coming from and that there's no support of child slave labor. Palm oil, which is used, it's actually a healthy fat. It's been around for thousands of years from the Egyptians, etc., but it is a leading cause of the destruction of the rainforest. So in all of these other candies and products, there's literally a negative impact on the planet. So we had to go and source this organically, because it was the only way we could get second and third generation farming. And we have the supplier policy in place with them, where for every hectare they cut down on the second and third generation farms, that they replant 3. Dairy, as we got into this, we learned, you know, and that's about 1/3 of the ingredients in so many of these products, can really have a negative impact, we believe, on particularly our youth, because the dairy cows are not grass-fed, and they are loaded up with additional hormones so that they can produce faster, and antibiotics, and this all gets translated into the food. So we made sure that ours came from grass-fed, non-antibiotic, no added hormone cows. Ingredients like blue agave, again, which was important as a fiber in here, and we'll explain why, but we found out also that there are environmental impacts with that, so we had to go with organic so that we can make sure that was all sustainably farmed. And even things like the colors, which to us became very important as we looked at the research, and it's a very controversial topic, but those artificial chemical dyes that are used particularly on candy-coated products, are directly, we believe, linked to ADD, ADHD, hyperactivity, and other brain disorders in kids. It's not definitively proven, but we said we're not taking a chance. So ours are sourced from turmeric root, from beetroot, and from purple cabbage. So we went to pretty extreme lengths to make sure we were doing the right thing. We also felt very passionately, particularly if our kids and kids of other people we knew were going to be having this, that there had to be a good nutritional profile. So it wasn't enough just to take down the sugar. If you look at this comparative chart here on a chocolate peanut caramel nougat bar, and again, I'm not going to talk about taste here. I really hope you'll taste it for yourselves to compare it. But you'll see a dramatic difference between the sugar levels, 30 versus 17. You'll see a dramatic difference on fiber and even protein. So it's 25% more protein, there's 500% more fiber. Now this was important because if you look to the left, the last line there says low glycemic index. As we learned about this, we realized that this spiking of the blood sugar was extremely important to prevent. And so low glycemic index, low glycemic load, we worked with the team out of Toronto, Canada that invented or discovered this index. And we kept testing until we found the right balance and formulation so that we were low on that. And you'll see here also on serving size, we are typically 15% smaller. It's not dramatic. It's what the dark chocolate versions of the other companies' new products are coming in at. But importantly, in research, we looked at, do people feel like they need more? Do they want more? And we discovered consistently no. So that's also something that we did to adjust for the reduction in sugar, but you'll see we're still higher, in protein and fiber. And then the fats in there, as I mentioned, are not from hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. And I won't go through this again here. You'll just see the dramatic difference in sugar as well as the increases in protein, double the protein, 3 times the fiber, also low glycemic index, low glycemic load. So this was just something that was important to us, and we wanted to set a model for how it can and should be done when it comes to any of these kinds of snacks and junk foods. So where we're at today, and we'll open it up shortly for questions around the product and around anything that you have, is we can only succeed in fulfilling this mission if we can get the word out, if we can move people to actually want to support it by getting behind it and buying it. And it's funny because we're not here to sell candy, we're here to prove something, but to the retailers of the world, to the other manufacturers that we want to change their practices, this is the only thing that they are going to look at. So it's great. I don't know if you've seen the video, our manifesto video that has Matt Damon and John Legend and Giselle Bundchen and Jack Dorsey, who's the founder of Twitter, and Bill Gates recently did a wonderful blog, and Oprah just announced that Unreal is one of her 10 favorite things. And so there's all kinds of special support like that. But what matters infinitely more is you and the network of people you know and the influence that you have. So the goal that we have is to start this movement, and the only way we can do it, and this is built, as you know right now, this effort around Target, because we have recently launched into Target, and what we've realized is that in order to make things happen and prove to Target that this isn't just something that people talk about wanting, that we want the junk out of our foods, that we want better choices and better alternatives, and we don't want to have to pay more for it, but actually are willing to change their behaviors and buy, this is that opportunity. And so Target wants to see, are people, do they really care, or do we care more about talking about it? So getting the vote out is what this is right now in front of us as the priority, and we need to get 1 million moms to get behind this and get into Target. So this is what you're going to see when you go into Target at the end of the aisle. This is going to be here for this week and next week. One of the things we're very proud of is that we've been able to change these ingredients to source them in sustainable ways. But if you look at the price, you're going to see that it's essentially the same price as the competitor products. And that was something that was very important to us in fulfilling our mission. People ask us all the time, how can you afford to do that? Well, the answer is we take a fraction of the profit margin that the other companies take. But the other part of the answer is we're not spending a ton of money on marketing, because this is what we're counting on, this is what we're relying on, is to get this movement going and to get that word out there. So the question is, can we do it at Target? And we believe, yes, we can. There's no question in our minds, and we're excited, and Target is very excited about this as a test. And here's the 4 things that we see that really matter. Number 1, of course, is stopping by a Target, choosing Unreal, making your vote, and really taste testing this with your family, because we believe that they're going to say, wow, this is phenomenal. Number 2, snap a photo of Unreal candy. You can do it in the store, you can do it out of the store, wherever you want, however you want, but email or text it to unreal@pongr.com, pongr.com. We don't have a lot of money, but we've set up a $10,000 credit to be able to shop at Target as a thank you for lending your voice to this cause. You'll be automatically entered when you send this in. Number 3, and extremely important, is to share this whole idea, to share that email with your friends so that we can get them out there and making these purchases. And lastly, it's very powerful for Target to hear your social media voice. So letting them know, if you feel this way, that you love Target, and you love them even more because they're getting behind small companies that are giving new choices to customers like yourself. That matters. They watch that and they listen to that. So I think I wanted to get through this quickly. I know there's so much to talk about, and we want to open it up for questions, but most importantly, Nikki and I and Adam and the rest of the team want to thank you for being Unreal and for putting your support behind this.
Thank you so much, everybody. It means the world.